Here is my first stitch of the round that needs to be done in green. In fact, I'm not quite convinced about that end, so I'm still going to proceed with my green, and if there is a problem this will reveal it. So I'm going to go into my first stitch, and I'm using a piece of yarn about 4 or 5 times the circumference of this piece, and I've got to copy the green stitches. And I'm trying not to split the plies. Then I have to sew back in to my replacement cuff, scoot along behind a stitch, and there it is. And now I have to go for this green stitch. So I'm both working my green stitches and checking my purple ones as I go. Whilst doing the green, I have to skip behind the ones I've already done in the purple, and the stitch I'm copying is already green, so I just match that. Sometimes they hide. Don't be scared to put your fingers up inside the work so that you can see either the waste yarn or the original stitches. So far everything's looking good. You do need your best glasses and good light, and not to be in a hurry. And there's that underneath green stitch that I'm copying. I found the problem. In my excitement of doing the stitch with the increases in it, I forgot to skip a stitch on the cuff side. So now I'm going to undo the purple stitches that I sewed the first time. I can leave my green ones there, and I'll go back and correct that mistake there. Here we go. I'm nearly back at the problem. So that's that increased stitch, and here in my excitement I didn't miss out a stitch, so I don't have space for the green stitch. So, but this is again another advantage of using waste yarn, because you can go back and do it again. So here's where I went in. I didn't miss this guy out. Now I can do that increased stitch. So knit the yarn over to the back, then through the other knit, back into that stitch. So what that meant was I had one stitch left over when I got to the far end, and that was what I was suspicious of when I got to examining it. And now I go back to doing the purple stitches. So I've done this one, that's my green, so here we go. So just have to remember now I'm doing purple again. We're getting close, and there's a little less puckering this time, so that's a good sign. Under 4 parts. I'm following the path of that white waste yarn, and on this side I'm copying the purple stitches. In, skip one, come out here, and there's, I think, well, we'll see, I'm just going to leave that right there. I think it's good. Now I can go back to where I got to with green yarn and switch my brain around to copying green stitches. So there's the 4 sides. Copy that green one, which is before the increase. Copy this green one after the increase. That does not look right. There we go. It's very easy to lose concentration. We're really close now. And green, back in and skip one, green, back in and skip one to the last white stitch, and there's that hiding green stitch down there that I'm copying. And that should be it. So now there's one more green stitch required there. So come back behind that stitch out here and around this one. Remember, this is the end of the round, so that purple stitch is next to that green stitch, so this is the green I'm copying, and it looks like you've got green side by side, but it's because it's at the end of the round. So you have made it all the way round, you've replaced all those stitches, and now we can remove the waste yarn. So you always begin with removing the waste yarn, because if you needed to, you could, and let's say you completely messed up, which we haven't, you can remove this waste yarn, and if it all falls apart, then you can knit the waste yarn on again and have another go. But I'm really confident that we've got this right. So I just need to get a thread that's holding everything pulled out. I often use a thread rather than binding off because it's quicker. Now, as I get to this stage, there's going to be some bits where I've split my plies, so now I need some scissors. Waste yarn gone. It's still holding together. Now we need to get rid of the original cuff. So we actually replaced the first round of colour. So I can cut a green stitch and I can cut a purple stitch on the old cuff. And pick that out. think twice, cut once. When you get near the start of round position, things will change and stop, and turn it round and go the other way from where you cut. You don't get extra points for getting the yarn out intact, so keep the tails short and keep on unpicking. And here it is detached. Now let's take a look and see if it was worth the effort. So there's our join. There's the increase. I don't think anyone's going to notice it. And I just need to do a little creative darning at the beginning end of round and neaten anything up inside, and we're good to go. This is an example of perfect grafting using waste yarn, and you can use this technique to lengthen existing projects, shorten existing projects. It has huge potential for cheap.